Hey guys, Youngblood Fantasy 91 here with another commentary for you wonderful people. You know, the internet population runs the ultimate gamut when it comes to mental health. The internet has a tendency to attract the most disgusting, repulsive, and perhaps most brain-damaged people you'll ever witness in real time. And this rule can definitely be translated to the microcosm of YouTube, where, just like many other websites, almost everyone has carte blanche to act as ridiculous as possible and expect people to accept them as reasonable, when in actuality they have underlying mental problems that ultimately make them a threat to everyone's reason. Here we examine the unhealthy and misplaced urges of the one and only dogs need pleasure too. Apparently he has the temerity to defend sex between humans and animals by deconstructing quote-unquote zoophobic quote-unquote arguments. So apparently he feels as though we are discriminating against those that have unhealthy sexual desires, even though all of these tendencies imply they're quite abnormal psychologies. You can smell the victim complex from here. Anyway, I'll listen in and I'll see what I have to say about this. Oh, teach me about the many ways I am a zoophobe and how I am tarnishing your reputation here. Obviously, you spouting illogical arguments automatically make our valid criticism of your unhealthy sexual preferences illogical. Please, free me from my zoophobe ways. And it certainly is unnatural, because if two separate species engage in sexual intercourse, it yields a sterile offspring that will ultimately be selected against by evolution, if you have an offspring to begin with. As a result, viable offspring come from two parents from the same species. That is why it is unnatural, because you having sex with your goddamn dog yields nothing except an angry, confused, sexually abused dog and a human who deserves a one-way trip to the sanatorium. And not to mention, the illegality of the situation stems from a goal to prevent sexual deviance from harming others, including other pets. That is why necrophilia is illegal. You want some random pervert to screw your dead grandmother's corpse and let him get away with this? The mentality you have pretty much condones this behavior. Yes, we should definitely follow the recommendations laid down by you, a person who has no concept of grammar despite knowing what smart secular humans are capable of doing. And like I said when I brought up the necrophilia argument, that is unnatural through and through, and that is illegal. You're confusing the appeal to nature fallacy with the main goals of laws themselves, to protect people and to reflect the norms of society. And sorry to say, but zoophilia is not a social norm. That is a terrible argument. The act of rape involves unwanted sexual intercourse, sure, but again, this can be chalked up to sexual deviance and harming of another person in the process. Laws protect against this sort of thing. And besides, usage of technology is not unnatural as much as it is a reflection of our scientific advances. Therefore, it is the result of a natural progression of advancement and innovation. That's how I see it anyway, and besides, certain things you can do on the internet is illegal, like distribution of child pornography. Therefore, it's not as black and white as you try to make it. I'm fairly sure the word zoophilia only applies to unhealthy sexual interactions between animals and humans. Typing it up on Google yields pretty graphic results, and in fact, Google seems to lump zoosex in the same category as ding ding ding, bestiality. So yeah, trying to shoehorn other species into the definition of zoosex is a pretty pathetic move. And even if you were going to include sexual interactions between two different species of animals as zoosex, evolution again selects against their offspring. If it is living after birth, of course, therefore making it an unnatural and unusual occurrence in nature. And yet here you are abusing the naturalistic fallacy to get your way. Yeah, totally justifying unhealthy and misplaced sexual behaviors really makes your arguments more solid. I surely would want to defend arson next because fire is a natural chemical reaction. Better break out the matches and the accelerant, guys! And that's the way it is. Overall, I feel the person behind this video is trying exceptionally hard to defend something that is considered harmful to a person's mind and the rest of society itself, and because of this he resorts to half-baked arguments. I know that inquiry into morality is a major philosophical endeavor, and of course we could launch into another major discussion regarding Hume's is-ought problem and G.E. Moore's open question. However, as I have said before, laws reflect society's norms. These laws ultimately stem from the implied social contract that we have with our government, as outlined by Rousseau, and these laws serve to not only preserve our natural rights such as life, liberty, and property, but also prevent people from unnecessarily harming others. Why do you think so many US states have made bestiality and zoophilia illegal? It's because the law states that it's animal cruelty.
That's the whole of the law.
And why not? Animals, whether you like it or not, have no viable way to consent to sex. They merely rely on instinct in these situations, and I'm sure that if you were willing to sexually approach one of these animals, most of the time they would try to bite you or hit you in the face with their hooves, depending on the unhealthy animal fetish you have. And yes, this is unnatural because humans perpetuate their own species by forming attractions with other members of their own species. Trying to screw a horse is going to yield absolutely nothing, except a satiation of an unusual sexual impulse that is ultimately misplaced. I know people can argue as much as they want that science is not the end-all be-all to morality, but when science explicitly states that interspecies relations yield sterile or no offspring, then I feel that the only recourse here is to conclude that the zoosexual is doing this because of sexual deviance. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this. This is Youngblood Fantasy 91, and ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you all in the brighter later.
I never laughed so long, so long.